Hello everyone, and welcome to the PC build and setup you can actually buy. As you can probably tell, we do have a huge amount of stuff to actually unbox today, because this video is very proudly sponsored by OMEN and Nvidia, and they've sent out a huge amount of toys. The star of the show though is of course the PC itself. It is going to be the heart of our setup. This is the OMEN 25L desktop gaming computer from OMEN. Building a PC usually takes me around about 2 to 3 hours, but I'm very excited that this is literally just going to be take it out the box. I'm pretty keen to see what this thing actually looks like, and it is definitely more of like a traditional tower, which personally I think that's great because it is going to give you that little bit extra experience with gaming computers, especially if you've never had one before, but then you do have that extra room for expandability as well. HP has gone for a solid front for this with a little bit of RGB on the front to make it look quite fancy. It's not my absolute favorite way of doing things, but they have actually thought about airflow quite nicely because you've got some very large vents down the bottom, and to be honest, even if you didn't have a fan mount down there, you probably could put one in there if you did want to get as much airflow as possible to that GPU. Something that is absolutely brilliant to see is this very large internal access button here at the back, which means that if you do want to actually see inside the case or maybe make some upgrades, it's very easy to do so without actually having a void warranty sticker like you used to see on pre-builds. Inside it is very jet black, which I think is great. It's a very clean interior. Most of the stuff looks to be pretty standard, to be honest with you. You've got a hard drive up here, you've got an M.2 SSD on the motherboard itself, 2 sticks of RAM, your Nvidia GeForce RTX 3060 Ti graphics card. This supports ray tracing and the latest titles, as well as things like Nvidia Reflex and DLSS deep learning super sampling technology. A power supply that is pretty standard form factor. It does actually say Cooler Master on it, so you know it should be pretty reliable. You can get this in a choice of processors. This is actually a Ryzen model, so here we have an 8-core 3700X, but if you wanted to go Intel, you have that option as well. Of course, me being PC centric, I am actually quite keen to see what sort of upgrades you can make to this, hopefully without breaking it. Not really sure what this plate was for at the top, but if you do take this out, it does actually open up the top a little bit more, so you get a little bit more airflow. If you want to add extra storage, then you can add an extra hard drive or SATA SSD to the bay. You can swap out the RAM for 32 gigabytes, and then if you do want to upgrade the CPU cooler, then in theory, as long as you have a compatible mount, you could swap this out to get even more performance. Let's get this baby powered on though, shall we? And we will of course actually need a monitor. This is the OMEN 25i, and this is going to be a very popular monitor because it is high refresh rate, 1080p, but in terms of value for money, I think this is going to get you the maximum amount of frames per second without costing you an arm and a leg. You've got a really clean design language on this one. It's not really trying to do anything too gamery, so again, it's going to fit into pretty much any setup. Just gently lay it down, grab the back piece and slot this in, and then just slide this into place, and then you have your completed monitor ready to go. We will plug everything in, and yes, all of the cables that you need to get started are actually in the boxes, don't worry. Then we have our mouse. This is the OMEN Vector. This is completely wireless, alongside our wireless mechanical keyboard. This is the Spacer, uses Cherry MX switches. Oh, sexy. I did tell you there are a lot of boxes. Now we're going for our mouse pad. I've gone for a full-size desk one because they really do complete the look of your setup and just make everything look so much better. But here we go, moment of truth. Will it work? You certainly would think so. If it's a pre-built, you don't have to worry about your computer not working after you've built it up. You do actually have a little RGB strip at the top, then you've got RGB on both the CPU cooler and the RAM, and then you do have some lighting on the Nvidia graphics card as well. But otherwise, as you can see, it will just boot straight into Windows. And don't forget, you do actually get a Windows license key as well. You don't have to buy that, so factor that into your pricing. Then you just click through and it's pretty much all ready to go. Easiest PC I've ever built. Setting everything up was incredibly simple. All I needed to do was log in with my Microsoft account, download a few games from Steam, Origin, Battle.net, open up Nvidia's GeForce Experience, and then navigate over to the section where it says drivers, and then just make sure we're running the latest game-ready drivers for the best performance. And then lastly, and something that's really quite cool about the HP ecosystem, is you can then go into what's known as the OMEN Hub. And here you'll see all of our OMEN devices, so our desktop, monitor, keyboard, mouse. And then it's here that you'll see all of your system vitals, so your GPU temperatures, as well as your CPU, memory utilization. You've got different features like a network booster to make sure your games run as latency free as possible. You've got your RGB control, so if you want your whole PC to appear red, then you can do that. There's quite a few different things you can do here. But anyway, now is actually the time to actually start gaming, which means we need to don our headphones. These are the Mindframe Primes. And the thing that is really quite cool about these, literally, is that they do actually have what they call frost cap technology built into them. So it's almost like a refrigerator for your ears. So if you're gaming on a particularly hot day, which granted in Great Britain at the moment it isn't, but it was a few weeks ago, these will actively cool your ears as well as sound great, so you can have extended gaming sessions in comfort. Let us begin with some Apex Legends. Here we are touching down in World's Edge at absolute max settings, 1080p, utilising the 165Hz refresh rate, and as you can see, the game not only looks incredible, but it runs pretty much flat out, getting very close to that 165Hz that you actually find on the display itself. The end result is gameplay that feels incredibly responsive. If you think 120Hz on consoles is impressive, you wait till you try this. This is also a game that utilises Nvidia reflex technology that can help to reduce latency even further. Next up, we're going to go for something super competitive, some Valorant. This is a game where you can get absolutely crazy levels of FPS with around about 220 frames a second at the moment. To say that this feels smooth would be a massive understatement. It's a game that I honestly love, but I just don't seem to be very good at. Apex Legends, yes. Valorant, no. Maybe I'm just too impatient. Obviously, you're never going to get the complete customizability of building your own computer, but then again, you don't need the knowledge either. And when you can think you can get performance like this straight out of the box, I mean, this has taken me, what, an hour, 10 minutes to go from the box to actually get gaming? This is a great way to get that superior PC gaming experience, but with the simplicity of consoles. But I know you've been waiting for our final game, some Call of Duty Warzone. So here we are then, jumping out of the plane, absolute max settings, 1080p, but this time utilising DLSS, which is Nvidia's deep learning super sampling tech, which is really cool because it actually gives you an even higher frame rate by rendering at a slightly lower resolution, but then upscaling it with smart deep learning tech. And it really does work a treat, because it really doesn't look too different to native 1080p, yet you're getting all of that extra frame rate. Over 100 frames a second is mighty impressive. I would absolutely love to hear your thoughts on this. Would you go for a pre-built PC? What do you make of the 25L and ultimately the gaming performance that you can get out of it? If you do want to learn a little bit more, including pricing and availability, you can actually check that out with the links down below. This is available to buy from box.co.uk. Smash the like button and I'll see you in the next one.